Annie Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington Realtors Legal Hotline lawyer. And today we are once again reaching into the Legal Hotline mailbag. And I love this question because in, a whole lot of years that I've been doing this, this is the first time I've ever received this question, but it is extraordinarily relevant. And here's the question. This question came from a designated broker. When I am responding to an email, should I hit reply to sender only, or should I hit reply to all? I had to think carefully about the answer to this question and realized that the answer is different depending on who the sender of the email is. And this answer is going to apply to more than just designated brokers. So don't tune out if you're not a designated broker. But the first part of the answer does pertain to anybody who's in a management position. Doesn't have to be the designated broker. You might be a team leader, you might be a managing broker, or you might just be a broker who is providing advice or counsel to another broker. So if you are acting in that capacity and you get an email from somebody who is looking to you for advice, and that email includes recipients, the email that they send to you includes recipients who you may or may not recognize, and you're going to respond to the broker who's asking this question of you, seeking advice, then think critically about whether or not you want your answer to go to all those people who were included in the broker's email to you. It may be that the broker sends you a question asking you about a transaction because the broker on the other side of the transaction is challenging them. And so maybe your broker wants that other broker to know that they are going to a higher authority. They're asking their manager whether or not what they did is correct. And so they include the other broker from the broker from the other side of the transaction. And maybe there's been even a dispute between the parties, and so they include their own client in this question. Now, if it turns out that your broker was in the wrong, or that there's multiple views to this question, or that for any reason your answer to this broker could be less than comfortable for your broker to have read by the broker on the other side of the transaction or by their client, then by all means, do not reply to all. Just because your broker asked you the question and included other people as recipients of the question does not mean that in your answer you have to reply to all. Okay, maybe that seems self-evident. Let's take the question from another perspective. You're a broker, and I don't care now if you're a broker or managing broker or designated broker. You receive an email from another broker, the broker on the other side of the transaction, and there are people included in this recipient list who you don't recognize. And maybe maybe one of the recipients is actually the broker on the other side of the transaction's client. So let's say your firm represents the buyer, listing broker has sent you an email, and there's somebody whose email address you don't recognize. It could be the seller. It also may be escrow or title or the inspector or any other number of people. And so the question is, do you hit reply to all? And the answer is, I can't answer that question for you. You're a professional, right? You are a professional. And so in your capacity as a professional, you are going to have to think critically about who the other recipients to this email are. If you're the buyer's broker and you hit reply to all and you send an email to the seller, have you violated a code of ethics or an MLS rule? And the answer, I really don't know the answer to those questions, because as the hotline lawyer, I neither interpret nor enforce the code of ethics nor any MLS rules. So you are really truly going to have to ask your own local association and your own MLS that question. Beyond that question, though, is it prudent to send your reply to somebody whose identity you don't know? Now, on one side of this question, I've had a broker argue to me, if the broker who sends me the question thinks it's important to have all of these people in the conversation, then all of these people already know the issue is out there. All of these people should then also know my reply, because my reply will be professional and accurate, et cetera, et cetera. That's one perspective. And it's not necessarily a wrong perspective, but I don't accept it at face value. Instead, I say, as a professional, you have to evaluate this situation case by case and critically analyze whether or not you should push the send button, not knowing who might receive this email, or even maybe you do recognize all of the email addresses. If that's the case, then think about each one. Do I want this person to get the answer? Do I want this person to get the answer? Do I want this person to get the answer? Because just because the email came to you with a bunch of other recipients does not mean that you, as a professional, want to send your reply back to all of those same people. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Only you can make that decision, and only you can make that decision after you really think about the issue case by case. If you want to talk about it, send an email to me, legalhotline@warealtor.org. Thank you for being a Washington Realtors member.